Hi folks, and welcome back to another D6 session. In the previous episode we went through what the armies are going to be looking like and the class and etc. This time we're going to look at deployment. Obviously the defenders go first, and just for ease of the game, the defenders are going to be defending this side of the table, and the attackers are going to be coming in from this end of the table. But I thought it would be fun just to actually dice for deployment areas as well. I managed to find this on the Solo Wargaming with Miniatures page on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, do check that one out, because there's some amazing stuff on there and lots of ideas for solo playing. So for the defenders, if we look on the list, there's number one will be the central, their left flank, right flank, spread along the flanks, spread along the entire line, and sort of spread out along their baseline as well. So we'll roll the d6 and see what deployment area they get. So they've got 4. So that's basically they're coming in on either flank with nothing in the centre. So I'll pause that up now and deploy the defenders. The defenders also going to be able to move in and deploy up to 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes into the game table as well. So they're going to. I'll quickly pause the video, as I said, and I'll deploy the defenders first. And there you have it. So the vast majority of the Prussians are their 4 infantry units, and the commander is on their right. And if we swing over a little bit, there is the rest of their units. So they've got the hussars and the light infantry. Plan wise, depending on what where the Bavarians are coming, but going to try and swing the faster moving cavalry and light infantry sort of into this area here and deploy in line along the top of this ridge as a defensive line. So now we're going to use the same setup and roll for the Bavarians attacking, which is the orange sections. Again, 1 to 6, roll the dice and see what we get. So they get a 3. So they are, unfortunately for the Prussians, coming in on a central position. Attackers always come on at march in marching columns, only allowed 2 hexes in. So I'll pause the video again and I'll set up the deployment for the Prussians. Sorry, for the Bavarians. So that's the Prussian deployment. Just see if I can zoom in a bit. The Prussians. So they're in a central position, all march column. As you can see, they've gone for a central infantry, flanks covered and guarded with their light infantry. Their artillery obviously limbered, not ready for action, and the command at the front. So there's our setup. Move things about a bit so we can at least get most of the action into the picture. There you have it. So that is the deployment setup. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to roll for the first game turn. Now, as we remember, we have different commanders. The Bavarians have a common commander, so whatever dice roll he rolls is what he gets. But obviously the Prussians have a veteran commander, so he will always get a +1 on the dice for the rolling of initiative. So blue dice for the Bavarians and black dice for the Prussians, remembering +1 for the Prussian commander. It's pretty emphatic. the Prussians have the first turn. So we now, sorry, I'm just going to pause for a second. Back again, sorry about that, just had to go and do something quickly. So yes, so the Prussians have the initiative. So I'm going to roll the d6 to see how many actions they can do. Let's roll it again. 4. So they can do 4 actions, and as you remember from last time, the first phase of actions is any kind of movement which includes formation changes, advancing, withdrawing, charge moves are all done in the first phase. Second phase is firing, which obviously there won't be any in this turn, and the third phase is melee, and finally at the end of the turn it's the commander's turn to roll dice to see if they can get rid of the dreaded shaken tokens off of their units. So we'll do some movement. I have slightly changed things up in the movement. As you remember in the other game they just moved 1 hex all the time, so I've given the infantry, if they're in column they can move 2 hexes, line only 1 still, skirmishers, because they're obviously in skirmish and there's a lot less of them, they can move 2, light cavalry can move 3, heavy cavalry, all other sorts of cavalry can move 2. Sorry, limbers artillery, they can move only 1. Obviously when they're ready to fire they can't move at all. And commands when on horseback can move 4 hexes, because it's obviously representing only a few cavalry, men on cavalry. So we're going to do some movement. I can use 4, so I'm probably going to move all of the infantry to try and get them into a slight better position. And turning, wheeling and all that sort of thing, that's included in the movement. So if I want to move these guys, it's still 1, 2, and they'll go back to where they were. So I'm literally going to shift all of the infantry, and that is the end of the Prussians' turn. As I say, I'm trying to manoeuvre the Prussians into a more of a central line to fight off the Bavarians as they're coming across. So let's roll the dice for the Bavarians and see how many activations they get. 1, which is not helpful at all. So I think probably going to move 1 of the light, or just move the cannon up. I think no, I can't really move the cannon because it's what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 1 of the light infantry. They can move 2 whether they're in column or line. So there's a move. One of the Bavarian light infantry is coming down. I think I'll form some kind of skirmish formation in front of the main advance of the Bavarian advance. Possibly keep the cannon where it is on that flank to pound the Prussians prior to the infantry support, the main infantry assault. A bit concerned about the Prussian cavalry and lights. They're going to be on my flank. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Looking at the time, it's now reached almost 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave it there, and I will get back to you hopefully next weekend with another D6 session. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. It's great fun playing these little games out, and as I say, any questions, queries about rules, please put them in the comments and I will get back to you. And as always, bye for now and stay safe everyone.